Greetings! About time we cast something, right? This should look relatively familiar. It's the board and the flask that I made in a previous video. Now I got a couple more pieces. Got these, which are risers, and I got some of these, which I'm using for gating. I'm not going to cut the gates, I'm going to mold the gates in. I think I read somewhere to do that, so I'm going to give it a shot. Why not? And I'm going to do that because I'm casting multiple things. These are each little keychains, or they're supposed to be keychains. I was going to do 4, but didn't have room, so I got rid of the boring one. And each one of them is carved with a different level of complexity, and I'm hoping to see which level of complexity is kind of the limit for my setup and my skill level. But to explain in more detail would take a lot of time, and I'm kind of rushed for time at the moment, so I'm going to do this in a magical cutaway. And here we are with the patterns. I made 4 patterns, although I don't think this one's going to fit in the flask, so we'll forget about this one. I made them with different levels of detail. So this is just like, it looks like a traffic cone with a background kind of recessed. So it's, you know, it's slightly different thicknesses, but really there's not a lot of minute detail there. This is the front end off of a old forward control Jeep. It's got these little cut marks, you know, for the grill and some circles that I poorly did because I don't actually have carving tools. These little fog light things, blinkers, I actually used the tip off of a pen with like the ink thing removed and just stamped them. So we'll see how well that transfers over. And here is a bus with some details and some windows. It's modeled after a 1956 Ford B600 bus converted to a motorhome. How specific, you might say? Well, yeah, it is pretty specific. A couple things you have to remember with these. Something called draft. Here's what I mean by draft. Pretend these 2 sections here are the 2 different flasks. This is the cope on the top, this is the drag on the bottom. And this line down the middle is the parting line. That's where the sand comes apart when you pull them apart. Say you want to make something that's rectangular in cross-section. That's probably a good way to do it. I mean, it'll be in one of the flasks. This top surface will be flat. This will be in the bottom, kind of rammed in from below. However, this has no draft. See this? This is straight. To get this pattern out, you'd have to pull it straight out, and you have a chance of pulling out some of the sand up here. If instead of straight, you had a slight angle like this on them, that would make it a lot easier. That's called draft. And this is kind of extreme. You don't need it that much. I think I've read like 5 degrees tends to be plenty if you're careful. But what you really don't want is something like this. This is called an undercut. All of these parts have draft. See, this has draft. The parting line will be this undecorated face, which I've marked so I don't get it mixed up. The sides here have draft. All of these cut marks were cut with a chisel to have draft. This doesn't. That's just a tube. And then even the gates have draft this way and draft this way. So that'll aid in pulling it out nice and easy. Okay, now that you're back, it's time to pack this mold. Now we're going to apply parting powder. I'm going to use baby powder, which I've read isn't the best idea, but a lot of people told me it works just fine. So in the face of conflicting information, I'm just going to try it. Apply thusly, like I've seen people do, and wipe with this makeup brush that I promise I borrowed with my wife's permission. These things slide all over. We have baby powder because someone gave it to us, but that was after we read an article that linked baby powder usage with cancer, which is kind of extreme sounding, but if you think about it, inhaling powder is not good for your lungs. Powder of any kind, it really doesn't matter. And if you inhale a whole bunch of baby powder, then, you know, that's bad for you. So maybe that's the cause. That or it's carcinogenic, I don't know. Should probably remove my jewelry for this, eh? That wouldn't be good. Wow, this sand is sticky. I've seen people put it through like one of those sugar things to like make sugar into powdered sugar. I don't have one of those available. At least not one that I feel I could steal from the kitchen without getting in some serious harm. So I'm just going to be careful to try to pack down this first layer around the details. Now I'm using an oil bonded sand called Petrabond. A lot of videos showed people using like sand that they made from bentonite clay, which is found in like cat litter, and playground sand, fine playground sand. But I'm using Petrobond because like I said, I don't have a whole ton of time, so I got to pick my battles when it comes to making stuff. And the battle that I'm picking not to fight is making sand out of other sand. So I just bought sand. Up now, the ramming. Don't remember if you're supposed to ram outside in or inside out. I do not know. I would talk more about this particular step, but I really don't know because I haven't done this before. This is literally the first time I've rammed sand in this flask for the purposes of making a casting. I did read that you're not supposed to ram it in too tight, because if it's too tight, it won't let air out. So I'm just kind of tapping with this board. Now I'm going to try to smooth it off. Yeah, it's kind of working. And right into the bucket. Okay, almost. Didn't quite get it. Nice and smooth right across the top. This sand is so sticky. It sticks to itself super well, but it slides right off the wood. Cool. Alright, moment of truth. Does it work? Does it come off and turn around? And look, oh, it just slid down. Oh noes. Well, you know those side reinforcement thingies I kept talking about? Yeah, those are a really good idea. Yeah, I guess this looks okay. Not bad. I'm going to call that a win. Next up, set up the gates. Basically, I saw this gating system in a book by C.W. Ammon. You pour it down here, this is nice and big, goes into this gate down here, which kind of acts like a trap, and then the trap has to fill up back up into this, which runs over all of the castings. Now, having it run over the top is going to mean I have a lot of grinding and cutting off to do, but I'll live. I got a power grinder. Then, optimally, I would have a second riser here. And what that means is, when it's poured in, it'll go down here. I'll try to keep this filled up so there will be pressure pushing it down, which pushes it through all this and up here. Then I'll be done pouring when there's liquid metal in both, and at that point I'll just let it cool. And these two big thick posts, which are fairly thick, remember these are only 1/4 inch, the gating's 1/2 inch, and this I think is bigger than 1/2 inch. So these won't solidify until last. And while the thin castings solidify, liquid metal will be able to run down here, probably specifically this one, and fill them up as they solidify. Now this little one over here is going to solidify first because it's got a lot of thin spaces and it's really small. These thicker ones will solidify last, which is why I placed the riser right over those, so they get the maximum amount of chance to fill in while they're solidifying. Get some more of that. Whoa, that's a lot. A lot of baby powder. In my face. Awesome. Note to self, use less baby powder next time. Okay, and more packing of the sand. And now stick time. Alright, let's see if we can remove these. Nice and gentle. Yeah. Okay, now we gotta get our stuff out of there. Gotta be nice and gentle. Uh-oh, I see a problem. Yep, I must have pushed that all the way down. And pushed a little too hard, because it's not looking great. Well, live and learn. This is full of mistakes, but I'm gonna try to make it work. As stupid as that sounds. Well, that pulled out nice. Let's see about the messed up one. That pulled out nice as well. Probably should have put screw holes in these things. Oh well. Still came out. Bingo. Blow the loose sand out. Try to put it back together nicely. Well, the sand wants to slide in the box, so we're going to do it sideways. And save us, sheet of aluminum. There. Good. Now we just got to fire up the grill.
Voiceover time. So here I am. I got the grill fired up. I got the mold out there. I got the cupcake ingot mold for when I have extra. And I am melting down some scrap cast aluminum from washer and dryer parts. I'm not using any of the ingots I had before, and I'm definitely not using the can ingots. Those aren't really that great for pouring. I'm using scrap cast aluminum. That's silicon containing cast aluminum, like I mentioned. Here I am dumping in. I have like a little packet of tinfoil with the flux and a degasser inside, and I'm plunging it as far as I can and stirring it around with a spoon on some channel locks, and there's some bubbling and some dross. Quite a lot of dross, actually. There was still some dross stuck to the inside of the metal extinguisher thing from when I did the cans, so that's probably not ideal. Probably should have cleaned that out, but it was really stuck in there. Really stuck in there. Also, I need like a plunging tool and a dross scooping tool, and I'll weld up one of those eventually, once I stop sucking at welding. And now for real time, here comes the pour. Will I do it? Will I make a fool of myself? Pour. Oh, it's out the other end. Oh no, it's on the flask. It's burning and smoldering. The horror. Actually, I predicted that would happen, remember? Said it's going to start on fire eventually. Yep, I said that in the flask making video, pretty sure. Then I poured some more ingots. There they go, into the nice bucket. And this effectively doubled the amount of ingots I had, so successful.
Alright, we are back. Time to see what happened. Got a little bit of burnage on the flask. I think that's normal. But otherwise, seemed to pour okay. I mean, I went in the hole, came out the other hole. That's what you want, right? Okay, let's see. Can we separate them? Yes. Yes, we can. Alright, that's to be expected. See, Petrobond burns when it touches the hot stuff, but I think everything but the black stuff is reusable. So I think I'm going to scoop that out carefully, put it in something else. That seems like mission accomplished. What does this side look like? Oh no, the horror! Just kidding, I can't even see. Ah, awesome! That looks really good, except I can't see that one. Other than that one, these two look amazing. Oh, freaking amazing. Wow. Let's get the black junk out. Oh man, my old archaeology trowel would be great for this job. I should really stop using the spoon and go downstairs and grab it. Nah. I've seen people just knock it out and mix it all back together. I don't really feel like doing that because I'm really like, I don't know what the term is. It's not OCD because that's like a legitimate thing that I don't think I am. I mean, I've had my fair share of mental problems, but I do not think OCD is one of them. I'm sure if a little bit gets in the sand, it's not going to be a big deal at all. However, this stuff, this Petrobond sand, it's not cheap. They do not give it away. You think sand, how expensive can it be? Wow. And I got a screaming deal on this. It's like getting a screaming deal on a bunch of gold and jewelry. It's still not going to be cheap. There. Success. Only a little burned. No problem. I believe the term for that is broken in. It's just broken in. Just think of all the spoons I'm going to ruin doing this. Ta-da! The finished products. Looks pretty good, huh? And here where I poured in, it looks kind of gross. You know, but the castings themselves don't look so gross. And they look a little gross, and obviously I have to clean them up a bit, but not bad at all. And we have to grind this thing off, which will be interesting, but I get to throw all of this back in the scrap pile, so won't be too bad. I'll just have these three. And check this out. This is something I think is just incredible with this Petrobond stuff. See those lines? I used an oak dowel. That's the grain in the oak. How crazy is that? Focus! Cool. And finally finished. Ta-da! They look pretty nice, huh? They look pretty nice. I took a flapper wheel, whatever it's called, to the surface of the cone, try to get that nice and polished. I don't actually have polishing equipment. I got a little bit of porosity, but not too bad. Not too bad. I'm quite happy with that. I tried to like round the edges a little bit to give the cone-shaped effect. It didn't work. Jeep front end I lightly hit, so you kind of get a smooth surface, but also it still kind of shows through the kind of cast surface. Somewhat the edges still have that surface. So it looks kind of rugged in my mind. I don't know, it works. And for the bus, I did nothing. I didn't want to risk getting rid of some of this nice detail. I had a little casting problem there. I think there's some sand caught. I think some sand fell in. Some slight casting problems there. But overall, I'm very, very happy with how well the detail came through. It looks quite nice. And then I just drilled a hole, and then I took a larger drill and just kind of like stuck it with my hand and like turned it just with my hand, and that kind of gave me a nice chamfered edge. Focus! Camera doesn't like buses. You can see the little chamfer on the hole there. Pretty sweet. And then for these key rings, I just went to my keychain, which had about 10 extra key rings. Don't know why. Every now and then I have to purge a few of them. And I just grabbed 3 and stuck them on. And you can kind of see how well this worked. I just cut it off with a cutting disc. It worked quite well. Had some spillover, like you saw. Burned the crap out of the flasks. I told you, if you watched the flask video, I told you they would catch fire. And they did. But they're still totally reusable. But yeah, it cast pretty well. It seemed to work out. You know, these were laid underneath like that, sorta, not quite. But this was overall, this is a great, this is a great first casting experiment. You know, it worked out quite well. I can just throw all of this back in the scrap pile. You know, I don't have to worry about it. Reuse this metal. I can make more of these. I still have the patterns here. Probably won't, because these were kind of specific in the design, and it goes to show you. So I'm doing this because I don't know how to do any of this, but I want to do it. So I read a lot, I talk to people, and I give it a shot. So that's what this whole channel is about. I'm just trying to learn how to do this stuff. So if I can do this, and I am by no means an expert, I was using a bucket with a hairdryer duct tape to it. I mean, come on. If that can produce results like this, give it a shot. You might be able to make some really awesome stuff. And hopefully that's where this is going. I'm going to keep making more and more awesome stuff. So stay tuned for that. Hope you enjoyed. Give this kind of project a shot. You might have something cool. Or if not, at least you get to play with fire, right? So that's always fun. No, never mind. Don't listen to me. Don't play with fire, kids. Fire is bad.